Hello, everybody. Hi, everybody. And I would like to welcome you to the second video in our Riding with Confidence series. There's going to be 8 live videos. Today's video is building trust through patience. And while we're waiting for others to come on here and join us for this live, I'd just like to take a minute and say thank you to all of you who have decided to join us in this private Facebook group of Unbridled Freedom. And I'd like to welcome our newest members. You know who you are. And I would like to just for a moment share with you why I started this group. I started this group because I have had horses all of my life, and I have been on a horsemanship journey for over 20 years. Actually, it's been 23 years. And what do I mean by a horsemanship journey? I decided back in 2000 that I wanted to become the best I could be for horses. And it's been an amazing journey, and it's not been easy at times, and at other times it's been incredibly amazing, euphoric, rewarding. In this journey, when I started out in this journey, I had no idea in 2000 that I would be embarking on a deep dive into personal development. And I just thought it was all about learning about horses and how to care for them and how to ride them and how to train them and all of those wonderful things. But what I didn't know was that to really become the best that I could be for horses, I had to do a deep dive into who am I? How do I show up in the world? And over the past 23 years, it's been life-changing. I love who I am. Horses tend to respond better to me. They actually, I think I could go out on a limb and say, enjoy being in my company. They enjoy my leadership. I love working with women and their horses and watching their horses try to figure out who I am and what am I doing and how do we communicate together, and then realizing that I speak their language or I speak in a way they understand, and watching them open their minds to engaging with me and then teaching their women how to do the same thing. It's what I'm passionate about. It's what I will spend the rest of my life doing, is bringing women and their horses together and creating an incredible partnership based on a relationship, solid relationship of trust, communication, and connection. So we're going to dive in now to how do we build trust through patience. And I've been thinking about this topic all week long and observing it while I'm working with my horses and I'm teaching other women and I'm riding some of my clients' horses who are struggling in just dealing with humans. Patience, well, trust is something that we can't expect to have or be given by another being. All of us women love our horses. So many of us have wanted horses all of our lives, and we, graduated from school, went to college, got married, raised a family, had a career, and now we're in that second or third stage of life, and we want a horse or we have a horse, and now it's kind of like, well, what do we do? We love them, they know that. We care for them, they know that. But do they trust us? And I believe that there's many layers of trust. I think our horses trust that we are not going to hurt them. And they trust when we touch them and put our hands on them and groom them, put their halters on. However, do they trust us as their leaders? And you know, you're going to hear me say this a lot in probably all of my videos, because that's how important it is that horses are herd animals, and their safety and comfort depends on them knowing that they have a leader in their herd and who that leader is. And a herd is 2 or more beings. So when we come together with our horse, we are now a herd of 2. And horses, in their way of interacting with one another, they're always doing subtle little things that are questioning each individual's leadership or ability to be a leader, because again, their safety depends on it. So they have to know, if I show up and I'm preoccupied and I'm feeling really down and I'm not feeling self-confident for whatever reason, yes, I have those days as well, my horse can immediately sense that I might not be the strongest leader that day. And they'll do subtle little things like push into my space. And do I back away? Do I get frustrated and, get out of my way? Or I ask them to do something and they don't do it. And I make several attempts at asking them to do that, and they still don't do it. So I go on and do something else. That's showing them that I am not a strong leader. So what does that have to do with trust? A horse needs to trust that you women are truly their leaders, that you have their back, and that you have the ability to enforce your request. Because, and this is a tricky one, it took me a little while to get the hang of what this really means, but there's so much power in it, so I will do my best to help you understand it. When we are engaging with our horses, and I tend to want to say working with our horses, but actually I have trained myself to not look at it as working with my horse, because who wants to work, right? I have a horse because I want to play, I want to relax, I want to step out of my world and into my dream. And so working with my horse is kind of like blah. So I like to look at it as playing with my horse. And so when I'm playing with horses and I am showing up as a leader and I'm wanting them to see me as a leader, believe in me as a leader, trust in me as a leader, I want them to understand that when I make a request of them to move their feet in a direction that they didn't really want to go, or to do something that they wouldn't have naturally decided to do on their own, I, as the leader, know that in that moment, it is the best thing for the herd that we do this. And if I ask them to do it and they don't follow my suggestion, and I move on to something else, I am undermining their ability to have trust in me. And the reason that is because a leader knows when it's safe, when it's not, when it's time to move, when it's time to stand still. And if I, as the leader, tell my herd, aka horse, we need to go, it's time to move, it's time to do this, And they're like, yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't want to. I want to eat the grass. I'm afraid of that. I don't want to go. And I say, okay, we'll just go do something else. That will will not serve as well in the future when there really is a situation that we need to go and we need to go now. Because I have shown them in the moments of asking them to do something and they don't, and then I move on to something else because I don't have the patience to guide them through doing it. They don't trust my leadership. They don't trust that I have the ability to keep them safe and us safe and to know when to go and when to stay. So I hope that helps you understand that by asking your horse to do something and they don't do it, or they give you grief about doing it, and they make it really challenging to make it happen, if we don't follow through and do something else, we are truly undermining the trust in the relationship and the partnership. So what does patience have to do with it? When we know what we're doing and we're confident in what we're doing, we have patience. It's when we aren't really super confident or super sure of what it is we're trying to get done with our horses or get our horse to do, like go through the water, accept the rain jacket, the raincoat, the flappy thing, the bags, the tarps, the flags, the spooky mailbox, the going over the bridge. I do a lot of trail riding, so those are all the things that we prepare for when we get out on the trail. If I'm asking my horse to do one of those things and I'm not super confident in my knowledge, my skills, the tools that I need in order to make this happen, and my understanding of horse psychology and horse behavior, if I'm not confident in those areas, I'm less patient. Because when I ask my horse to do something and they say no, and I'm not confident that I know how to achieve this, it brings up fear and doubt. Maybe a little confusion and uncertainty. And when that happens, it's the human psyche that wants to push and make it happen, or just give it up without taking time to be patient and help our horses understand exactly what we're asking. So, how do you know? No, that's not really what I want to say. What do I want to say? How do you get patient? How do you develop patience? Well, one of the things that I love to do with my horses, and it wasn't always this way, and I teach the women that I work with and coach and mentor, and it isn't natural for them, is be curious. Use your imagination. You can't really go wrong except to quit, to get frustrated and angry with yourself or your horse, or to be mean and angry. Those aren't really cool. But otherwise, your horse is not going to resent you, fear you, be angry at you for trying different things. So, use your imagination. I'm here and I want to get my horse there, and they're stuck in between. How do I make that happen? Well, I'm going to give you some pointers. When a horse is afraid to do something or is refusing to do something, they may be afraid. They may be confused about what you're asking. They may be having a bad day. They do have bad days. They may be distracted. They may be testing your leadership and your patience because they want to know if they can trust you. So these are some of the things that I go through when I'm working with a horse who is not joining up with me to achieve a desired outcome. There is this thing called the comfort zone, the learning zone, and the panic zone. So when I'm working with my horses, it's like a bullseye, and in the center is the comfort zone. That's when they're eating and grazing and in their enclosure, or you're just chilling. The learning zone is the next part of the bullseye, and that's when they're out of their comfort zone. You've taken them out of their pen. You've taken them away from grazing. You've taken them from just standing still doing nothing to now we're going to do something. You now put them in the learning zone. And then the outer part of the bullseye is the panic zone. And when you tip into that panic zone, you are now in they're in their sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight. They're releasing adrenaline and cortisol. They're in reaction mode. They're taking short, shallow breaths. They're only getting enough oxygen and blood to the vital organs for survival, which are the heart, the lungs, and the muscles. They can't hear you. They can't see you. They're not going to respond in a positive way. So we try to not operate in the panic zone. So interestingly enough, ladies, is we have the same bullseye. So we're in the comfort zone when we're loving on them and grooming them and watching them graze and eat and just hanging out with them, doing the things that we do on a regular basis. When we try to teach them something new, or we try to learn something new, or go somewhere new with them, we're now in the learning zone as well as they are. And if we push them too hard by not being patient because they're not responding to what we're asking, we can tip them into the panic zone, and then that tips us into the panic zone, and now nobody's thinking very clearly. So one of the things that I would like to have you guys play with is, can you recognize when your horse is in the comfort zone? And how does he shift when you take him into the learning zone of riding and doing the the 8 pattern, or doing circles, or backwards and forwards, lefts and rights? How do they change mentally, emotionally, physically, and that spiritual connection between the two of you, the essence of you that loves the essence of him? How does that change in the learning zone? And can you recognize when you or them dip into the panic zone? Just play around with that. Someday in the future live videos, we're going to dive into that. And in my year-long program, Unbridled Freedom program, mentorship program, we go deep dive into all of this. The other thing that I want to share with you that I do with my horses, or any of the horses I'm working with, and I'm trying to get them to do something that they're uncomfortable doing. There's a technique called move closer, stay longer. So if I'm asking my horse, or a horse who's standing, let's say we have one of those bridges that's on the ground in the arena, they've never seen it before, or it might even have an arch like this. you know, so they have to walk up and across and down. Or it could be one of the teeter-totter ones. Those are cool too. So I have a horse who's never seen it, and we're on the let's say the bridge is between you and I. And the horse and I are standing on the left-hand side of the bridge. And I want them to go over to the right side. And I ask them to go. And they're like, no way. They want to go around it. They want to go, you know, between me and it, or they want to go beyond me. Clearly, that is their way of saying, I have no idea what you're asking me to do. I don't want to do it. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't know what that thing is. So what I will do is I will break it down into little steps. But before I will do that, I will bring the horse back to facing the bridge. Here's the bridge. Here's the horse. Here's the horse. Here's the bridge. And I will ask them to just get as close as they can. And then I will pause. There's power in the pause. And what do I do when I pause? Well, what we didn't do at the beginning of this video was what I want to do at the beginning of every video, and that's stop and take some nice deep belly breaths. I'm breathing into that space, my belly, my pelvic bowl, that's 3 inches below my belly button. It's called our power center and our dantian in traditional Chinese medicine, martial arts. It's called your power center for a reason. Because when you breathe into that part of your body, you are literally fully oxygenating all 3 of your lung lobes. You're giving your brain all the oxygen it needs. You're grounding yourself to the ground and the present moment. The power in the pause is to pause and take 4 deep belly breaths. And in doing so, you're allowing your horse to find power in the pause. You're allowing them to kind of emotionally regulate, to reset, to look at you and go, wow, you're calming down. You're in the present moment. Now I can listen to you. Now I want to listen to you. But if your horse is worried about proceeding and you lose your patience simply because you fear or you don't have the confidence that you know how to help your horse through this, that's where mentors like me come into play. You can still learn a ton from what we're going through here. Power in the pause. I take 4 deep breaths. I let them reset. And then I use the technique, move closer, stay longer. So I will instead, my goal is to get that horse to go over the bridge. But my horse says, I can't even get near the bridge. So I'm going to ask my horse, can you move 1 foot closer? Can you move 2 feet closer? And then pause. Power in the pause. Patience. It takes patience to pause. Our little egos want to go, oh, that's great, now go all the way over. And that's not working with horses, especially when they're apprehensive. There's so much power in the pause, and take the time to be patient enough to let your horse think about each movement closer. And then ask them to move 1 or 2 feet, 1 step or 2 steps, even closer, and pause. I will sometimes, even after we've done that and we've paused, I'll even ask them to back away and maybe move them a little bit in a circle and then come back and ask again. That's totally taking their mind off of what we're doing and then coming back and seeing, Are they more interested in moving closer? Do they feel more comfortable? And being patient and pausing and not pushing them through their apprehension, not letting them call the shots or their fear run away with both of us. That's not what I'm saying. We need to always be the leader and keep our horse with us. But by being patient enough to bring them closer, staying longer through pausing and breathing and grounding and connecting with our horse, that builds trust. That tells your horse, I am truly your leader. I am a fair and I am a firm leader, and I've got your back. And I honor your voice. I am listening to what you're telling me. I am not ignoring it. I'm not being impatient. I'm not putting the goal before the relationship. And if you can do that, if you can practice those two things, ladies, move closer, stay longer. Actually, at 3. Power in the pause. The pause is stop. Take 4 deep belly breaths down into your power center. Feel your awareness drop into that power center and breathe out through the soles of your feet, firmly grounding you in the present moment. Your horse, being multi-sensory awareness masters and energy masters, they feel that. They know you are grounded, you are present, you are here with them, you are not going anywhere, and you are not panicking. Power in the pause. Know your comfort, know the bullseye of learning, of growth. Bullseye of growth, we'll call it for now. I actually have it a different name in my year-long program, but right now we'll call it the bullseye of the growth. I don't even like that. All right. The bullseye. The middle is growth, is comfort. The next ring is the learning zone. And the outer ring is the panic zone. We don't want to go into the panic zone for long. That'll be another live video. We do tip in and out of it for a reason, but not in this video. So the learning zones, the zones of learning, and move closer, stay longer. If you play with those for this week, I would love to hear comments, questions, concerns in our discussion in this private group. Because if you have a struggle, you have a question, you're confused, you're not the only one in the group. So please ask it. I am here for you guys. I am here to share my lifetime of horse experience, but more specifically, my 23 years, 2000 to now, of being passionately devoted and committed to becoming the best woman I could be. I want to share it with you because it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. It has changed my life from the inside out. It has changed every relationship in my life. First with me, then my horses, my family, my clients, how I show up in the world. Just by wanting to become the best horsewoman I could be. So I want to thank you so much for joining me in this live video and joining me in my private Facebook group, our private Facebook group, and for joining me in this 8 video series of riding with confidence. So please practice, play, share. If you have any questions about my mentorship program, or if you would like to talk to me one-on-one, about where you are and where you'd like to be, and can I help you get there, please reach out to me. You can do it through this group. You can do it through my private page, Cindy Hartzell, or you can do it through the business page, Hartzell Confidence-Based Horsemanship. Just send me a private message. I am here for you. It's what I do. I'm here for you and your horse, and committed to helping you have an amazing partnership built on a solid foundational relationship of trust, connection, and communication. All right, ladies, until next week, take care, play, and share.